I can
and I
cover it.
thought I would say, now let me just show you close up and allow you to hear the sound close up, and just kind of walk in here and then go back and start in part of my introduction.
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay?
Actually, right now we're just recording, so...
Hello again. One of the great opportunities I've had is to work with the energy of sound. Primarily, the vibrations of the sound create internal changes. All of our organs are vibrating at a certain frequency, and the Eastern arts use these frequencies for a lot of healing, for a lot of chakra work, which is areas of energies on your body. It's used in a lot of ways. It's used in their mantras, their chants. I've had the fortune of having a teacher by the name of Dr. Sangpak, who has put a system called Kyoto, which is the energy of sound. My own interest, he is a Tibetan Buddhist. My interest in the Tibetan world goes back actually to my teenage years for a lot of reasons. One of the energies I like to use is the Tibetan prayer bowls. I myself am not a musician. I don't sing, and I don't play music. So in order to create some of these exact frequencies, the bowls are tuned to individual notes and individual chakras, which again are energy areas of the body. By using these bowls, I can balance people out, I can calm them down, I can actually end up activating certain parts of their body by having them lie in a pattern with bowls around them in certain areas. I watch how they lean towards sound. Those are the sounds they need to absorb. I watch how they repel from sounds. Those are sounds that they already have too much of an excess. So I will use a different bowl to pull out the excess. There's many reasons. But in Tibet, the bowls themselves are a very integral part of the Tibetan religion. They actually go back to the Bon religion preceding their Buddhism. The Tibetans, monks, will not and have not disclosed the full use of the bowls. The bowls were presented to the West basically after World War II, as the Chinese continued to conquer Tibet. A lot of bowls were exported to the monks in India, etc., etc. However, there have been people that have been able to recreate the basic use of the bowl. And I was fortunate to start studying bowls a little over 20 years ago, and I built up a modest collection. This represents about 20% of my collection at home. I've acquired a little over 60 bowls. The average bowl I have is a true Tibetan bowl. There's some from Bhutan, there's some from a few of the other countries in the area, but the principle was the same. The bowls that I have here are verifiable antique bowls, the majority of them being from the 1690s through the 1830s and 1840s. There's a lot of significant etchings in all these bowls. There's rim etchings, there's etchings inside, there's patterns on the outside of the bowl. And these patterns did represent a lot of things, which can be explained by other people better than me. However, the sound is the main thing I use, and the good bowls have they have a yin sound and yang sound, and other descriptions are a lot of them have an overtone and an undertone. But the good bowls will always have that om, the om. It's a separate vibration over the main note. The main note that these are labeled at is the note that it sustains the most. I have these bowls laid out in a basic order that you would be using for overall energetic balancing, not a specific organ or a specific mantra or chant. They were often used as like tuning forks, because the monks themselves didn't always come to the same note, and when they did their group mantras and their group chanting, if they had to start off in an E, they would pick an E bowl, which is what I had before, and they would use this bowl to bring everybody to their mantra. would tune the group, 10, 20 people, they would tune to the bowl. So they would all start off with the same mantra, the same note. And again, this being E, this particular bowl, it's a lot easier for me to read the description to give you mine. This is the solar plex chakra, which is midway between the end of the breastbone and the navel. It's associated with personal power emotions, blocked emotions, passion for living, the ability to protect oneself from the target of negative or aggressive emotions. I refer you to any books on chakra. The idea is not to give you a lesson on chakras. The idea is to give you the fact that the bowls can help activate those areas that you may not be able to do yourself. Is to activate the chakras and train. Every one of those arts takes a few years. I can use these bowls in a class session prior to an exercise class, prior to a yoga class, or after a yoga class, to continue the flow that the exercises are giving. The exercises are opening something up, but most of the time the class does not go far enough. The class does not include the purging. Anytime you open an energy, it's going to go directly to an organ that's related to that energy channel. That organ is going to release the emotions that are attached to it. All the organs have an emotion attached. For instance, lungs is associated with grief. And as you're doing the exercises, you may open up that lung and you'll bring out some prior grieving. That's why sometimes people will do a lot of lung exercises and start crying. They're releasing this grief. This allows that release to occur without the instructor have to understand what's happening, without the student necessarily being actively involved. I can help release and allow this to leave their body during and after class. So this can be an important adjunct, as well as, of course, it can be a session all on its own. So I'm just going to kind of show you the idea of how something would work, and I'm going to start with the crown chakra and work my way through the 7 chakras down to the root chakra bowls. And again, you can refer individually to any books or any charts. I'm not going to take the time to explain what each one does. But I'm going to show you basically how they can be played and how you can enjoy the power. Traditionally, they use a series of gong-like actions. We can have strikers and rim players. And they're done either way. Each way has some individual significances, which again, I can explain in person. But for now, I'm going to start with striking. We're in a large room. The striking projects a lot better than the individual rim playing. The areas on the bowls have places where you're supposed to strike. Each bowl has been mapped out by the owner. You get to know your bowl. But the bowls themselves have lines anywhere from lines that you may have seen in the other bowl, significant lines, to lines that are very worn over hundreds and hundreds of years. This bowl is an authentic 1600 bowl with a lot of rim stampings, and the lines are all worn off. But I know where to strike them. body, the vibrations become very penetrating. You can feel the vibrations. A lot of the bowls are marked where they would contain a certain amount of liquid. I use tea so you can see the ripples and the flows on the bowls. There's fountain bowls where the water will come up and go right back inside. These are Cooper hawk feathers from my yard. I have a pair of nesting hawks in my backyard, and the bowls will play the feathers. There's different vibrations being caused, and on different surfaces and different sized bowls, the feathers will lift and move around and do a complete dance. In addition to the Tibetan bowls, the Native Americans and many other indigenous cultures have used some type of sound vibration. These are authentic use of shaman western rattle. This is a Midwestern Indian, Native American rattle. They're gourds with the regular seed still inside of them, as well as, we won't mention what feathers are on these, but and fur. The shamans, of course, use it for a lot of mystical things, but they also use them just for the sound, just for the pattern, what was created, where is the body. Of course, the shamans would ward off spirits or bring you back from a journey or help you in a journey. But the sound is just generally there. One unique thing, I don't know if you can catch this pattern. See the 3 bars? That's a trigram, Chinese trigram. That's yang, full yang. The 3. So it's interesting that the patterns, even though they had nothing to do with each other culture-wise, the patterns, a lot of the patterns can be interpreted for the same energy from 5,000 miles away, different, maybe hundreds and hundreds, maybe centuries, maybe 1,000-year difference. But some of the patterns represent the same thing. You can literally feel where the rattling and the vibrations is entering your body. So I've just enjoyed playing with bowls and other sounds. We eventually can show you sounds related to your own creation, up sounds, out sounds, forward sounds, backward sounds, water sounds, fire sounds, rising sounds. There's tons of sounds, but again, it's not so much the sounds. The sounds are similar. Sometimes they're a little different. One system will say out is one projection of sound, but it's the vibrations will always be the same. So again, I just want to introduce the bowls and show you an opportunity to bring the bowls to your studio or to use the bowls as a separate class. But more importantly, they can really truly be integrated to what you're already doing and introduced to your instructors who could have 1 or 2 bowls and bring them to the beginning of the class, the end of the class. You're usually playing some type of music and ending with an om or a mantra anyhow. But these have their own unique powers, and I just, again, wanted to introduce them. Thank you.